Welcome to the Uncanny Lens, where we are exploring self-concept reflections in pop culture and media. I'm your co-host, Jinx.
And I'm Minx.
And today we are so excited because we want to share with you all the new name that we are going to be moving forward with in our company. The name of the podcast is going to stay the same. We will remain the Uncanny Lens. But first, before we get into all of that, Minx, what's new in your media mindset right now?
Oh my goodness. I have not been really I haven't been watching anything lately except for once a week. I have been watching the Great British Baking Show.
I know you were so excited for that.
And oh my gosh, it is one of the most wholesome, enjoyable weekly experiences that I just adore and look forward to every Friday morning. But I am really excited because one of my favorite newer shows has the second season that just came out, and I'm going to watch that today. It's called The Gilded Age. That period of time is just so fascinating because there's so much innovation and excitement around innovation, and it's kind of this transformation from this old era of the way things were done for so long into this new age. And so, yeah, I feel like that's kind of appropriate. Talking about what we're going to be discussing today is just shifts and the evolution of thoughts and mindsets. And yeah, I just am kind of holding space for change, I guess I could say. How about you?
I love that. And I'm in a really similar space with what I've been watching. So I do want to acknowledge that there has been a lot going on in the world that has been really horrific. Even if you were trying to avoid some of this stuff intentionally, some of the images and news and things that are coming out from various parts around the world, particularly in the Middle East, I think that it would be difficult to do. I just don't know that you could turn on any type of device right now and not see something and not have to be witness to this. And I think it's really important that we are witness to what's happening. I also think that it's really important that we are being careful and having boundaries and not reactivating our own unhealed trauma wounds that we're working on ourselves. And so I have to take a little bit of a break from the witnessing. And I am grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to do that and that I have access to mental health care and things to help me right now. I do recognize the privilege that comes with not being in that situation right now. In addition to that, though, what I have really been enjoying is the times when I can connect to media and there seems to be something really beautiful happening. And right now, one of my favorite shows is Lessons in Chemistry, which is on Apple Plus. And it is one of the most touching and delightful shows I've probably ever watched. But I would say, given what else is sort of being presented to us to, be engaging with and interacting with as far as media is concerned right now, it is definitely one of the best shows that I believe is on TV. And I watch a lot. So I feel that if this is the type of thing that you are into, this type of storytelling, that this is something that if you haven't watched it yet, and I'm talking to you, Minx, but also to our audience, to really check it out and give it a shot because it is a beautiful, beautiful story. It's based on a book. And I have the book I've placed it on hold now from the library. So I'm just waiting for my turn. And Brie Larson is doing a beautiful job. But what I really love is that this so far is focusing on when you are handed something in life that you were not wanting, perhaps, and how you can take that and shift it, how you can transform that into something that does work for you. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in the future, if you believe in what's to come and what you can create. And that's what I see happening with this character. So I really hope that we'll be doing an episode on this in the future. And in the meantime, I just like to say that I'm so grateful that I have this TV show that I can be getting immersed into right now that feels really lovely at a time when there are a lot of things that don't feel really lovely and delightful elsewhere. So,
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I watched the first 2
mm,
episodes, and the second episode got dark, so I'll give it another shot and
the second episode, I learned some boundaries around media real quick. After I watched that episode, I was like,
Yeah.
"No more new shows
Mm.
this close to bedtime."
Yeah.
I'm still angry at the author. It was very upsetting to me. And then what has been really just touching about it is that the tenderness of the show is
Mm.
still there despite that darkness, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that's really,
Yeah.
really important to find that tenderness in the light and the darkness. And I feel like that's what we're
Right.
doing. So this is a great
Yeah.
segue into our changes and our shifts and
Yeah.
our transformation. How do we say this? Do we need like a drum roll? Do we need like a
Yeah, it's almost like an so you're right. Yeah, I love that you brought up lessons in chemistry though, because it really does feel like we're re-alchemizing things in our brand and in our world. So, yeah.
And that's really what I think of myself as anyway, as a media alchemist,
Mm.
taking these and what
Mhm.
we do is just like media alchemy, taking this and making it into something else. Yeah, drum roll. I'm not very good at doing a drum roll. Let's get on to this. Without any further suspense, we have decided that our name going forward is VentralVerse Media, otherwise known as the VentralVerse. Now, you might be saying, what the fuck does that mean? So we're going to tell you.
Where did they just pull that out of?
And there was nothing pulled from anywhere. This was, except for like the ether, I guess. You know, we were working with the
Mhm.
universe, and there was a lot of meditation and intention and coaching and all sorts of stuff that went into this.
Yeah.
And it's been
Yeah, a lot of back and forth.
it's
Mhm.
been really fun though to watch this transformation happen, because I think oftentimes things can kind of change without us being intentionally creating that change.
Yeah.
And so what felt really good about this is that it was very intentional.
We kind of pride ourselves in being designers and that
Mhm.
design is an important part of our work and that we do have like coaches that have given us feedback and that we are really utilizing those voices and the feedback that we've received and that's all of this is coming from a space of a lot of informed. Yeah, we've got a lot of information to back up what we're doing and why we make shifts, so
A lot of time meditating, a lot of time in meetings, a lot
mhm.
of time in coaching, a lot of
Yeah.
time brainstorming and just working through things with other people in our
Yeah,
network and
listening.
peer groups.
Mhm.
And, you know, we're in a
Yeah.
variety of courses, and we're in this accelerator program called Self Made to help us get the business and structure in place. And all of these things that have been happening has really gone into the thoughtful and intentional creation of this universe that we're
Yeah.
creating, which is why we decided to put the word, I almost said world. We decided to put the world in here. That's true too. We decided to use
Exactly.
the word verse is because it does really tap into that fandom, that part of pop culture, but also into the world that we're creating. So let's discuss a little
Yeah.
bit the VentralVerse makeover. I know you have this really great, I don't know if it's like a comparison to early 90s like makeover movies. I think it's just such a great
I
way
mean,
of
that's
explaining
just
this.
what this whole process has reminded me of. It's reminded me of, like, Clueless and gosh, is it She's All That or something?
Yes, the Freddie
These
Prinze.
makeover
Yes,
movies.
she's all that.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what it makes me think of now that you mentioned that? This is a little bit older because I'm a little bit older than you. Can't Buy Me
Yeah.
Love with Patrick Dempsey from like the
Oh,
late 80s, that Can't
right.
Buy Me Love movie. So yes,
Yeah.
what's another one?
Oh, there's so many. Even we could even look at Grease as being like this makeover, with Sandra Dee.
They always say that Sandy is the one who did a makeover, but Danny did too, and everybody forgets that.
This is
Danny
true. This is
also
true.
gave himself a
Yeah.
makeover.
Yeah, and Pretty
Oh, yes,
Woman,
that's the
you
other one you
know?
mentioned. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really
Mhm.
you're starting off with this one thing, right? So we started off as Uncanny Occasions, and that name just no longer reflects what we're doing. It still had a lot of the same elements, and that's why I held on to it for a while because it did hold some of the pop culture elements in references to comic book and like the X-Men world and things like that.
Mhm.
But those things no longer encompass the only thing that we're doing. Our world has gotten so much bigger, and our name needed to reflect that change. You also made this I don't know, is it an analogy of growing up? So we feel
Yeah.
like Uncanny Occasions was sort of our adolescent phase, and,
Mhm.
like, even if I look at the colors and things that I chose during that phase,
Yes.
they were very, like, pastel. There was very much this desire for me to be connecting to my younger parts, and
Yeah,
I
healing your inner child.
well,
Yeah.
and not even,
Mhm.
like, going into really, really young parts. We're just talking about, like you said, adolescent
Yeah.
parts. So the parts that wanted to
Mhm.
just dress up in fairy princess outfits or you know what I mean? And that all is still part of what we're doing. Obviously, those things haven't changed. We've just created a bigger world and we needed our name to reflect that. Right now,
Yeah.
we currently plan to keep Uncanny Occasions under our umbrella, right? So this name change was also really inspired by Paris Hilton's media company and the way that she has organized things.
Yes.
I find what she's doing to be very inspiring as far as how she has different aspects of media that she's involved in and has her structure divided that way. So the way we sort of
Yeah.
see it happening now is Uncanny Occasions will live on within the verse, within the VentralVerse, and it will be what
Mhm.
we are producing our retreats and in-person live events through. That's the way
Mhm.
we currently envision it. That may change, so don't hold us to it. But going from this
Yeah,
adolescent
that's the
to a
idea.
more
Mhm.
mature and sophisticated brand while still having fun with the pop culture and media references, but also understanding that there is shadow work involved in this as well. There's just a lot going
Mhm.
on, and we really felt like VentralVerse started to encompass that. It's not just
Mhm.
the name and it's not just our offerings. We also to what Minx was saying earlier about the design aspect, we also want to design these unique landscapes within ourselves,
Mhm.
within our inner world. And that's going to look
Yeah.
different for all of us. But we want to create a community where it's safe for you to create your inner landscapes to be as unique as you are, to create the characters that you need to create to do your embodiment activities, and to help with the
Mm.
storytelling that you not only want to tell yourself, but that you would like to see reflected in the media that we are creating for our community.
Yes.
We want to transport people to a different realm, right? And we've talked
Yes.
about what the term ventral means.
Yeah, could you go into kind of the inspiration for the
Yeah, I
name?
would love to because to me it's just so exciting. So, polyvagal theory has influenced a lot of what I've been learning about, like our vagus nerve and how it impacts us. And something that I really get into are these ventral vagal vibes. And the ventral vagal state is when you are walking on sunshine, everything is cool. You are singing that song, you make me feel like dancing. Like you're just out in the world, you're connected to nature, you're connected to others, you're having a good day, you're dancing in Trader Joe's, like whatever is going on. I'm using specific things that I've done when I've been in that state.
Right.
You're meeting new people, you're more friendly when you're standing in line, whatever that may be. And when you are in that ventral vagal state and you go out and you spread that into the world, you are actually co-regulating with other people in your community. You're spreading those vibes around. It's very, very important work for us to be, and I don't even want to call it work. It's just an important place for us
Yeah.
to desire to be in. It feels good to us and it feels good all around us. And it literally shifts the energy of the space that we're in. And I really wanted to play into this concept of ventral vagal vibes,
Mm.
ventral. And so what I really started working on was this idea that the ventral describes the forward facing part of our body. And so I wanted to describe this forward facing journey. and to also connect with the idea of trusting your gut and intuitive exploration that comes and learning when is it your gut and when is it a pattern that just feels familiar. And so you think
Mm-hmm.
it's your gut. Like these are important distinctions for us to be making. And I think that the more that we can tap into these things, we add in a little bit of spirituality, right? And then we add in like the sacral chakra and the solar plexus
Yeah.
chakra, which are also located in our abdomen. So the ventral can refer to the belly as well. And our abdomen
Mm-hmm.
is containing these chakras that are associated with creativity and emotions and sensuality in our sacral chakra. And then in our solar plexus, we are feeling that connection to personal power and self-confidence. This makes so much sense. Of course, there needs to be a universe where
Yeah.
we can just be tapped into these places. Then we bring in the
Yeah.
aspect of self awareness and a little bit of holistic wellness in a more scientific concept, as I was briefly mentioning earlier, the polyvagal theory. But we also bring in somatic practices, embodiment activities, and nervous system regulation techniques to create this place. Who wouldn't want to be there? Who wouldn't want to be in a
Yeah.
place where you're reclaiming the power of the influence that
Mm-hmm.
media has on your life in a way that is moving you forward, that puts you in charge of trusting your gut and knowing the difference between a familiar pattern and an intuition. And you're also tapped into your sacral and your solar plexus chakra while learning how to somatically release emotions to your body, from your
Right.
body, embody your favorite version of yourself, and learn how to regulate your nervous system when you end up with unpleasant, unwanted, or unexpected experiences that are just like fucking you up. Who wouldn't want to be there? I want to be there. And that's why we're creating this
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a space of healing, and it's a space of kind of reclaiming power in what we want to see reflected back into the world. I feel like there is a lot of maturity reflected in what you've just been sharing, and how for so long in our lives we're kind of, maybe we're using our gut to make decisions and move forward in the world. But I feel like with our world today, there's just so much information. It's so easy to lose sight of is what the universe is telling us.
Absolutely. Okay, here's a really good example that's coming to mind as you're talking about this. I used to be one of
Mhm.
those people who I never really had goals. Now, part of this is from
Mm.
trauma, right? This is a trauma response to a lot of things because if you're always in survival mode, like a goal doesn't
Yeah.
fucking matter. Who
Right.
cares? You know what I mean? Like
Just goal is
you've got the goal
surviving.
is
Yeah.
surviving. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Mhm.
so what I would do, because I did believe in manifestation, I did believe in the universe, I did believe in all these things even before I had words for all of this, right?
Yeah.
So I would always be looking for signs from the universe. And I have this friend, Val and I have been friends for like 30 years. Hi, Val. And we would always be like, oh my God, it's a sign. Oh my God, it's a sign. Oh my God, it's a sign. When something would happen that we thought was like, because we had desires and things, and then we would say,
Yeah, giving
oh,
you
there's a sign. That
direction.
must mean that
Yeah.
this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so then things
Right.
just kind of, if I want to be honest, things would fizzle a lot. Like I would have some movement and then things would
Mm.
fizzle because I would stop seeing the sign or I'd stop seeing it. I didn't know that I got to be the one in charge of that I got to be the one in charge of
Yeah.
continually moving myself forward, because that was the only way that I
Mm.
recognized that I could work with the universe, was to just look for signs. I didn't realize that I could actually be making requests, so to speak, or
Yeah.
intentionally curating my experience on the planet.
Mm.
And now I feel like I understand a little bit more. I'm still working on getting out of survival mode, right? That's part of what my healing journey has
Yeah.
been. I'm no one's guru. I'm just sharing what's going on for me and hoping that it can help
And what's
someone
worked.
else.
Yeah,
Yes. And hoping
exactly.
that somebody,
Mhm.
because I was at the point where I was literally dying, literally, this is not an exaggeration. And I would try anything to, I mean, I was even
To
considering, yes,
survive.
I was even considering unaliving
Mhm.
myself though, because it wasn't just survival. I needed the
Mhm.
pain to stop the physical.
Yeah.
pain that was happening in my body that was causing me to not be able to eat and all of these other things that were going on. It needed to stop. And so it ended up having to learn how to utilize these resources. So I think of it kind
Mm.
of like the internet. The internet's always been there, right? Like the signal, I don't know how it all works. This is just how it works in my head. It's always been there, right? We just needed the right equipment to tap into it so that we could connect all of our computers and start doing the thing that we're doing with the internet now, right? Like it's always been
Mhm.
there though.
The knowledge commons. It's like this.
Like
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
like even radio, like these
Mhm.
waves of these things are like out there. It's just like, have we
Mhm.
found a way to actually like tap into them yet? And that's sort
Mm.
of what I think of this as, is just finding another way to tap into ourselves, really, by
Yeah.
using the things that are already like around us as a reflection, as a mirror to see where
Mm.
those wounds may be that we still need to work on healing,
Yeah.
and where those things are that we want to follow that are joy filled and are sunshine. I
Yeah.
need to follow more sunshine. I choose to follow more sunshine. And so
Mm.
even when I've had a hard weekend or a hard day or something, I still keep showing up to do the things. And I've never done anything like that before in my life. If things started going like, I would just be like, well, I guess that's a
Give
sign. I
up.
guess
Yeah.
that's a sign from the universe
Right.
that this isn't meant for me after all. And I don't mean that in
Mm.
I would give up sort of way. I really,
Mm.
really was like, I guess this is just a sign that it wasn't meant for me after all. And then I was like, well, wait a
Right.
minute. What if I didn't just like the next time that happened?
Yeah.
What if I just kept going anyway? And, now
Yeah.
we're going into season 2 of our podcast.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of exciting offerings and things to share with all of you that kind of speak to this redesign and this new name. And I feel like they encompass like the courses that we're developing and the offerings and just like what we hope to bring in the future is going to really be reflected in this name change and the intention that we're setting behind the name,
Ooh, and the
right?
future is now, bitches. The future is now. It's happening now. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that actually brings up a really good. So if somebody just wanted to get started in this, say they're just learning about us, what do you think? I was going to say maybe I should recommend our media journal. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think that's a great way to get started, just to, because I think that when we need to be making changes, the first step is to observe and interact. That's a permaculture principle. And it kind of is the first step to get information about where you are currently. And that way you can kind of start designing and forecasting and projecting kind of what the next step is to make a change or move forward in a different way, right? So the media journal is all about kind of reflections on your observations.
And it's just 5 minutes a day for 1 week.
Hmm.
We think that now is a good time to be exploring these things anyway, because if you do need to be placing some boundaries around your media habits, particularly as it relates to the news and witnessing things, but making sure that you are not harming yourself in the meantime,
Yeah.
we need to, be sure that we are using our emotional energy in a responsible way and not in a way that's hurting ourselves. And so I think that the 5 minute
Hmm.
media journal is a really great way to start observing some of those patterns now to see where you need to be kinder to yourself and not inflict harm on yourself because there is harm happening in other places.
Right. Thank you for that. And just for logistics, can you share with our audience where they might be able to find that? Because in the past, we've had our Uncanny Occasions website and we do have all of these shifts happening. So, how can our audience navigate the offerings as we move forward?
That's a really great question. So I will actually make some updates on the website so that it will be easy for people to be able to access that. But I don't know what to say about that right now because I don't know.
Yeah, this is it's still in progress. Like we're still, I think currently our website still has not shifted or reflected the change. We are just kind of announcing this right now.
Oh, you know what I'll
But
do? I
ideally,
know what I'll do.
hmm
I will put it in the announcement bar at the top of the website. So I
great.
was thinking, oh, I can go back and, whatever. I'll just put it at the top of the website, 5 Minute Media Journal, because I do think that's an important thing for people to be reflecting on at this particular point in time. So I will put an announcement at the top of our website at like in the little announcement bar, usually where it says, listen to the Uncanny Lens. You'll be able to find our five
hmm
minute media journal there. And if you use the discount code journal upon checkout, you will be able to get that journal free of charge at this time.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. We are currently offering certain things for free, and that's not necessarily always going to be the case. So you definitely want to take advantage of these opportunities now, as we're just kind of, developing them, and we really want to get some feedback from you as well, so that we can design our offerings to be the best that they can be.
If we find out what types of things would be useful to incorporate that maybe we haven't
Yeah.
thought of or wasn't a part of, the process that I was going through as I was creating a lot of these
Yeah.
offerings and ideas that we have around the VentralVerse, we just are really open to that. We really want to be supportive and creating a community that you are helping to create as well.
Oh my goodness, I am just so excited that we are growing up. I really
Mm,
do feel a shift in just the amount of, I feel like there's a lot of clarity right now, in my mind at least, and it feels just really good in my body, the changes that we are making and the growth that we are, just the growth that we are having right now. It's so exciting. It's feels inspirational, and I feel like this name shift into the Ventralverse is really energizing
mm,
this momentum moving forward, right? And I feel like the intention that we're putting behind all of this really feels powerful, and it feels like it is like putting momentum into everything that we're putting together and creating right now. So I feel like that just the energy of something new, like the energy, that spark of energy into something new, it feels like this new name is actually giving us the energy that we need to build everything that we're building moving forward.
mm. That's so interesting, just considering, the things that we've just talked about that went into that with this
hmm
forward facing journey, right? Like this
Yes. Yeah, we need a lot of momentum to
self-propelling,
move
right?
forward.
It's like, let's go. Like the momentum and everything is just there in a way that feels very electric and also magnetic and all of these other things that I wasn't feeling before, and I didn't realize until I
Yeah.
was really feeling confident to let Uncanny Occasions go as far as our
Mm.
current name to describe it,
Umbrella.
right,
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
this
yeah.
it just didn't feel exciting in the same way. It felt
Mm.
like I didn't realize until I was
Yeah,
like,
and maybe even limiting,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Like, I feel like it was limiting some of the stuff that we wanted to be doing, and now we don't feel that limit. I feel like we feel this expansive
Mm,
energy behind everything that we are brainstorming and thinking of and co-creating, and it feels different, and I'm really excited to share this with our listeners. And we have a lot of stuff that's in development right now, and I feel like this shift and this growing up, this makeover, is just giving us so many more possibilities. It's like it is bringing me back to these makeover movies, because there were, you look at one of these characters like in Pretty Woman, right? And she didn't have that much available to her before. Like she couldn't even go shopping at certain places because of like her brand, you know, like
That's really
just like who
true.
she was branded as, right? And is like a brand, like, you know, you look at like the mark of the A from the
Mm.
Scarlet Letter, and that was kind of what was branded on Julia Roberts's character in that movie. And she was limited by the brand that she had. And then she went through this shift and she went through this makeover. And all of a sudden, so many opportunities were accessible to her, right? Like the sky was the limit, right? And that's kind of what this feels like. It feels like we have unlimited potential at this moment, right? And that's what we're kind of trying to create in this name change. And I feel like the name really reflects that.
Well, it's almost like we've become our own case study in a lot of ways because
Yes.
our work is really about self-concept. And the way you just described that so well with
Hmm.
Pretty Woman and Julia Roberts' character was really, my imagination was just like, ah, yes, this is so true. Like I could see these scenes playing out and everything because it was
Hmm.
really watching her go through a transformation as somebody was treating her as if she was someone different,
Mm.
right? That she wasn't just
Yes.
the book that everybody was judging the cover by, right? That there was more to her, right? And
Hmm.
so something that was going on with our name previously was that it was confusing to a lot of people. They didn't
Mm.
understand where the
Yeah.
shift had happened with. So the shift, they thought we were a party planning company. And we did start
Yeah.
off as a special events company. That is how Uncanny Occasions started off back in 2015. But we were focused primarily on pop culture and fandom type of inspired events. So it was like
Hmm.
non-traditional weddings and things like that that we were really focused on. And then as the company split, I went down this more therapeutic art event sort of company because I was no longer able to do any type of large scale special events given what was going on with my body. And
And in the world,
well,
right?
yes, and in the world. I mean, that definitely by the time
Hmm.
COVID came around, absolutely,
Yeah.
that definitely.
Yeah,
And so then
exactly.
that's when it was the year before, it was actually 2019 when I started offering virtual experiences. So I was a little bit ahead of the curve there with the way that everything else kind of ended up happening with the pandemic. But what all of that is really to say is that it was just really confusing for people still to this point.
Hmm.
Even when we started using Uncanny Occasions media, people were still confused. And so it just makes sense
Yeah,
that we shift things in a different way. And this is the way that feels the best. And so I'm excited about it.
it
Excited
does.
for our forward
Yay.
facing journey using our gut
Mm.
instincts and the creativity and self confidence that comes
Hmm.
from our solar plexus and sacral chakras. Like, let's fucking go. I'm so ready. I'm so ready. This is
Me
so
too.
exciting and fun
Yeah,
for me. So,
yeah.
well, thank you
Yay.
so much for giving us that great summary of everything that we've been talking about and sharing your perspective on everything, Minx. I really have enjoyed gushing about all of this with
Same.
you.
Oh, yeah.
It's really fun to talk
Mm.
about. And, you know, if you're new here, we would invite you to follow, subscribe, rate, like, review, share, and do all of the things to stay connected with us. We are working on creating a Mighty Networks community, so that is something that you'll be able to join us with soon. In the meantime, you can follow us on socials. Over the next few weeks, those things will be shifting to our new handle that will reflect the new name. And if you're listening on Spotify, please remember that you can interact with our polls and questions through the Spotify platform.
Yeah, and look out for announcements on social media. We will be sharing all of the information as our name shifts, kind of all the logistics behind that as that's all changing. So, yeah, keep your eyes open and ears peeled.
Woo!
Your ears. Can I do that
No,
again?
I thought you did it on
Your ears
purpose. It has
peeled.
to stay that way now.
So silly. Okay.
I love it though. I thought you did it
Oh
on
my
purpose, so
God.
it's
Your
staying.
eyes peeled and your ears, whatever.
That was great.
My goodness, my brain farts. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you.
Yes, until next time, remember to keep improving your self concept and rebel on.